Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well. And today, my friends, we're back with a community showdown between Loopy and Razel here. It's going to be Beastmen versus Tomb Kings, the two Walmart factions going at it. Of course, pre-Beastmen DLC here, but, times may change here in the future. Depends on what the good old beasts end up getting. Now, it looks like it's going to be Morker facing off against Ark in the Black, so certainly two of the more meta picks. Although in this matchup, you do sometimes see, you'll see Cetra or Tomb Kings, because again, they're big, they can cause terror, and can be quite effective. But looks like it's going to be a super aggressive Vanguard. So here for the forces of the Tomb Kings, we can go ahead and pause as the battle will be starting almost immediately due to the aggressive Vanguard here of Loopy. But it looks like it is going to be Skeleton Horseman Archers for the Vanguard here of the Tomb Kings. A very good choice because they can do pretty well against Centaurs with throwing axes. Not in melee, of course, but if you can use your spears to kind of buffer and make sure they don't get chased down and then use their 140 range to have good skirmishing against Centaurs, it can be very effective. On top of that, good against Spawn, good against Minotaurs. Most of the Beastmen armor, with the exception of Gorbals and Bestigors, is lightly armored, so these are very good, cheap, cost-effective skirmish cavalry. For this army, it's going to be, for the rest of the army, man, my brain just totally skipped a beat there. It's going to be Skeleton Spearmen with more Tomb Guard here in the back. Obviously, the Beastmen don't have access to the Lore of Fire, so this is actually a matchup in which Tomb Guard Halberds and basic Tomb Guard, I think, really can be MVP, so I like that quite a bit. Ark in the Black, Spirit Leech, and Aspect of the Dread Knight. We do also have Ushapti Greatbow here in the back. The ROR, Chosen to the Gods. Chosen to the Gods can drop some beats for sure. They have that nice spray fire mode, so they're pretty good against multi-model units like Centaurs and Minotaurs and things like that. So I really do like the Chosen to the Gods pick. Nakar Horsemen, also another amazing pick in this matchup. They can do decent shock damage against infantry with their 38 weapon strength, and can also contest the mobility game against Centaurs, and a couple chariots as well. Now, for the Beastmen, it's going to be Goreherds. Goreherds quite good in this matchup. It looks like it is going to be the shielded variant. I'm often more of the opinion that the dual wielding variant is just all around more cost effective here. I mean, you can deal with skeleton archers every now and then and a little bit of skirmishing, but maybe there was some sort of a limit and he brought like the maximum amount of the basic variant. I'm not sure, but looks like it's going to be Gores with shields as well as the dual wielding variant. I like them quite a bit. They're really good at buzzsawing through chaff units, and they actually trade relatively well against a more expensive infantry unit via the Tomb Guard. So spears on the flanks, a couple Centaurs here. Centaurs, of course, if they do get the opportune charge on the horsemen, can trade very well. We got Butchers of Kalkengard, Morker, Wildcaster, and it looks like a bunch of Centaurs with throwing axes. Now, this is a matchup that for the longest time has probably been a little bit favored for the forces of the Tomb Kings. I find that Beastmen do struggle to deal with the constructs, although maybe the meta has been shifting a little bit away. That's why you're seeing these Centaurs with throwing axes back there, right? To deal with constructs, Ushapti Greatbows, a bunch of other targets like that. Now, it looks like there's going to be some loose engagements right here. We do have some Ungor Spearmen moving up, and they're going to be rode down for the Beast Gods, whatever they worship. No, it looks like the chariots do turn around. A little bit of an unfortunate engagement here for the Tomb Kings. And just like I said, a lot of that comes down to who gets the proper charge. But the Centaurs with their nice charge bonus get in there, and they really butter the bread of this mobile unit. But a nice counter charge from the second Horseman unit plus the chariots may turn the tide. Oh, and Ark in the Black coming in as well with the Spirit Leech. If he drops a Skeleton Summon here, that's going to be so good. Yeah, very nice. That's going to trap in a ton of those units. Now, in the rest of the battlefield here, you can see these Skeleton Warriors being cut to pieces by the Gores. But in the front, the chariots of the Tomb Kings, the spokes of the Tomb Kings, riding through these Goreherds and really helping them win a frontline engagement. Usually Tomb Kings don't do super well in the front line, so having the accentuating support from the chariots as well as the horsemen here is super clutch for sure. In the backfield, we do get Centaurs with great weapons, mind you, so very, very cost effective against the Chosen of the Gods. On the charge, ooh, and a nice Brave Scream going down right there as well. It hits the Skeleton Horseman archers that piled in to try and help. Now, Centaur is probably going to be paying the ultimate price here. The Sad Moose shall commence, and a Vile Tide as well. Really, really good usage of the Bray Shaman magic. Beautiful stuff. Now, the Beastmen, of course, starting to take over this side of the battlefield. Spears collapsing here, Spearmen here having some problems, Centaurs with throwing axes having cost-effective skirmishing here in the backfield. The Horsemen better watch out. They can actually turn around and probably win this. But the Tomb Kings, on that same note, for Razel here, do win the fight on this side of the battlefield. So a complete rout, more or less. Two Centaurs get broken off. They have rallied at this point, but also the Goreherds there did take a bit of a beating. And the Spawn Summons are now active. So the fact that the bounce power is pretty even with Spawn Summons is definitely a nice boon here for the Beastmen. Chariots look to be going in after Morker. At the very least, they'll distract him and keep him kind of pinned away from the main fight, but they're not going to kill him. Morker takes like 10 years to kill, unless you're a real world beater. Like characters like Sigvald can usually do some pretty exceptional damage, but most of the battlefield here is in our view at this point. Ushapti Greatbows shooting across the field to go after the Centaurs with throwing axes. A good choice for sure, getting rid of the armor-piercing damage that can actually deal with them. But the Wild magic has been very cost-effective this game, and of course the Lore of Wild does come with the buff to Vigor for your entire army when you cast spells. So many of the Beastmen units, of course, Centaurs have their own trait of having perfect Vigor, essentially, but the Goreherds with shields and these other units are active right now, right? They're benefiting from that. So the Vigor is going to be favoring the Beastmen quite a bit, which is certainly a very underrated mechanic that I think a lot of people don't take into account with the lore of the wild. Anyways, here, Centaurs with great weapons might be able to catch the chariots on the charge. Ooh, not good for these chariots. 80 armor going to be heavily mitigated by the great weapons here of the Centaurs. And yeah, that's a really nice catch. I mean, they were very healthy. Those chariots were at about 60, 70%, give or take, if not more. And now a very tattered unit of beat-up Centaurs with great weapons is able to almost not quite finish them, but bring them down. -2 models, lead them to crumbling. Certainly very good, and the happy cow sounds shall be commencing once again here in the deep. Arkin the Black moving back across. Looks like he's going to be trying to form a Helm's Deep here on the Chosen of the Gods, which have good ammunition. That's probably the right play. Form a buffering wall of skeleton spears and chaff units. Protect the Chosen of the Gods. Let them wear down the Butchers of Kalkengard if they can. The Butchers are quite healthy still, which is very, very problematic here for the Tomb Kings. But it looks like the Ushabti summon is going to be activated. Obviously, there's a big blob fight here, and though the Beastmen seem to be winning it, it's also nice to keep the Beastmen in that particular blob, because then it allows your Ushabti Greatbows and other assets to fight pretty effectively. So here are the Nehekar Horsemen trying to fend off the Centaurs with throwing axes, but there are 2 units of them. And I wonder who would win that. I mean, maybe if the Beastmen turned around and fought, they might be able to actually take down those horsemen after they soften them up a little bit. Another nice Brave Scream right there, but here you can see one unit of... is that the Butchers of Kalkengard? Man, those Greatbows really took them to Pound Town super quick. Like, we looked just a minute ago, and they were at, like, almost full health. But now at this point, the Ushabti Greatbows are able to just rain some hellish fire into them. And now the balance bar is kind of even, right? The big thing for the balance there was the fact that you had this big, expensive 1,400 gold ROR unit with regeneration going strong, but now it looks like they're broken and running for the hills. Horsemen here chasing down the Centaurs. Centaurs will eventually win that with their ammunition usage, and the Centaurs with throwing axes here doing an excellent job of dealing with the Ushabti. Now it looks like Razel here are going to be pulling back Skeleton Horsemen as well as Nehekar Horsemen to protect the Ushabti. Definitely want to maximize their ammunition, get all those shots off, and it looks like Arkin actually able to do a serious number here on the Bray Shaman. Bray Shaman does get hit with Doom and Darkness. Arkin the Black on his skeletal horseman here going after the Bray Shaman, and it looks like he's shattered. Okay, this game is really, really going back and forth here as the 2 dreaded Walmart factions fight to the bitter end. So Morker's still going. Morker's going to be tough to deal with. I mean, looking around here at the battlefield, I'm not seeing a whole lot that's going to be super effective against Morker. I mean, yes, the skeleton chariots do have anti-infantry and can cycle charge him, and his armor is very low, so chariots in theory with good cycle charging play should be able to wear him down eventually, but that's not going to be an easy feat. Although it does look like here, yeah, the Butchers of Kalkengard have come back, and Arkin better pray. You better pray, baby. You better watch out. He does have 90 armor, but those Beastmen are coming in pretty aggressively, and they are healing too, and have a fair amount of distance to their healing cap, though they only have 5 models. Would imagine that Spirit Leech will start picking off some models here as they do go down to 4. And now the Chariot's moving back in as Arkin the Black, very smooth maneuvering, is able to pull back through the spears here. A very, very well-played game. I mean, obviously these are 2 top-tier players. ODM always making a very solid performance in the competitive game. And here comes the Centaurs with throwing axes, charging into the Chosen of the Gods. Nice charge right there, and you can see even though they don't have great AP in melee, Centaurs do pack a bit of punch when they engage. More Centaur engagements over here. Throwing axes able to pick off the last of these horsemen, and horse archers might lead to some crumbling. And it looks like another unit of throwing axes has returned from their great exodus of actually kiting the Nehekar Horsemen, which we saw earlier. And it looks like they use most of their ammunition in the process, but Arkin the Black can be very, very scary in the late game. He does have a lot of skeleton summons. It's more a matter of recharging those because he has to be in combat to get the recharge in conjunction with his activated ability, which takes 30 seconds off the skeleton summon. But man, oh man, Arkin is definitely a force to be reckoned with. So Butchers of Kalkengard actually rally, and they're healing. That's pretty substantial. I mean, they can come in and lay some serious damage here into this engagement. And it looks like the Ushabti Greatbow are going to be taking a bit of a heavy blitz here as the Centaurs move in there. Hope you guys appreciated that. And it looks like Morker the Shadow Gave also coming in with the Atomic Pimp Slap there in the back of the Chosen of the Gods, and it looks like they are going to be crumbling, and the pit fight is upon us. Tomb Guard are very tough to kill in the late game too, though. They're obviously, they cause fear. They're quote-unquote unbreakable, being undead. Of course, they can crumble, but it's a pretty slow mechanic. It's not like something that's terribly punishing. And it looks like just the Morker grind now. Butchers of Kalkengard coming in, probably just going to be chasing down the Ushabti if they get away. But it looks like that one Ushabti unit with -20 leadership should be crumbling. Chariots move out to intercept the Butchers. Butchers are rocking about 800 HP, which is quite strong. Arkin the Black coming over as well. Probably going to rear charge them, try and support the Skeleton Spearmen, keep them from getting away. I think the Butchers need to take a hard charge into Arkin here, and it looks like they do. One of them does get ping-ponged into space. The other 2 are still fighting, while the Centaurs do collapse into the Tomb Guard, which are critical binding, and more Centaurs rallying as well. So it looks like what you see is what you got at this point. Taking a big macro look at the battlefield, there are a couple units out there on the periphery here. We can see they do have these Centaurs there. Probably not going to be a factor, as I think the fighting will be over by the time they can get back in. But will Morker be able to carry this? And looking at the state of things, I think so. Here you can see the Tomb Guard and the Spears probably going to suffer a lot of cycle charging from these Centaurs, which will eventually lead to their crumbling, right? And Arkin is pretty okay in combat for a caster. 40, 50, and his weapon strength, I believe, is over 400 when he's not poisoned. But Morker is probably one of the stickiest, hardest to get rid of characters in the game. He's got 4,000 HP here against 2,800. Probably nowhere near his healing cap. Usually Morker isn't focused at all unless your opponent really screws up. But hey, look at that. 4th quarter skeleton summon. We'll do a little bit of fast forwarding here as these matchups can be a bit of a grind. Morker fighting. Of course, Arkin the Black needs to get good cycle charging while he's surrounded. Might be able to break the leadership of the Cowman, but he seems to be enduring quite well. And also we get some Centaurs coming back in. So Morker probably just endures here. Waits for the skeleton summon to disappear, which it will any moment. Probably charging in the Centaurs there was a little bit early. I think they're shattered now. So yeah, man, this is it. It's just the fake skeletons. So we have the duel of duels. And for some reason, Morker is behind. Usually Morker represents a lot of the bounce of power. And yeah, man, this is a really, really scrappy one. Amazing game. This has been fun. You know, you don't see a lot of Beastmen or Tomb Kings these days. And yeah, it's always fun to see them. I do my best to try and cast games of theirs whenever I see it. It's not that they're... I think Beastmen are actually a stronger faction than Tomb Kings overall. I think their win rates were quite a bit better in the World Championship. Tomb Kings had an atrociously low win rate. Not that it's like weird because Tomb Kings, I think, just have a big vulnerability because their infantry are so bad. And they just get wrecked so hard when their infantry go. I think that's a big problem. And also, they're like the one undead faction without healing. Spirit Leech going down on Morker. Morker has pretty insane magic resist, but you got to throw everything you can here. So we'll zoom in for the cinematic duels. Imagine if there was just like some random synced animation between these two characters, right? You just see like Morker and Arkin the Black just arm wrestling and just rolling about or something. Yeah, Morker dominating this fight though, it looks like, and he's still healing, guys. I do not see a healing cap in sight. Obviously, Arkin has some leadership tricks, but with his leadership sitting just rock hard at 88, and it looks like Bone Daddy here, Warhammer Skeletor, is going to be going down. He gets like 100 damage in Morker in that whole fight. A nice skeleton summon, okay, a little spicy. Maybe breaks him. If he has like aspect of the Dread Knight and get like a rear charge and Morker has like a bit of a rough moment, maybe, but I don't think so. Morker's going to be able to hunt him down. Bounce of power. Oh my god, is this... No way this is going to happen. That would be so dirty. 1800, the skeleton spearmen, or skeleton summons, excuse me, are just holding him in place, but they're about to disappear, and now, you know, you can't cycle charge anymore in accordance with tournament rules, which looks like these two gentlemen were practicing. Holy shit, that was a crazy game. He almost came back and got that. I was like in the zone where I'm like, okay, it's over, let's talk about, you know, the game and tactics and everything, but damn, that was a great match. Well played. Big thanks to Loopy and Razel here for sending in that replay. That was an absolute pleasure to cast. And yeah, the Beastman build was good. It had anti-infantry, it had anti-construct via the Centaur's throwing axes plus the Minotaurs, and yeah, it was a very well-rounded, solid Beastman build. And I also like the Tomb Kings build. I thought it was good. The Chariots, I guess the Chariots help you win that infantry fight. They both paid for themselves. Horsemen seem to have a rough run of it. I think they got some tough engagement, so they are very good in that matchup. I think Arkin probably should have kept him a little bit closer to his chest and just kind of defended the Ushapi Great Bows with him. I think that might have been an issue, but nonetheless, it was a really good game. Super well played to both these guys, man. And I can't believe Razel almost pulled that back. Crazy game. All right, my friends, take care. Hopefully you enjoyed the Beastmen. They'll hopefully be here with their DLC soon, and we can see them in their true glory. Man, it should be quite a bit of fun with the brass bull on the way. Cheers, guys. Take care.